How do plants make their own food? That's what we're going to be talking about today. We know that plants are producers and they're able to make their own food from water, sunlight, and air. But how do they do that? How is that possible? Do they take out the frying pan and throw in some bacon and eggs and fry it up? I don't think so, right? They have to do a special process. And that process, which we're going to learn about today, is called photosynthesis, okay? So during this slideshow, you're going to be taking notes on some important vocabulary. This should be the title of your notes. How do plants make their own food? Put this at the top and then move on to the next slide when you're ready. So plants make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Well, we can actually split this word photosynthesis into two words. The word photo, right here, and the word synthesis right here. So photo, if you've ever taken a photograph or you've heard of the word photon, photo means light. Okay, anytime you hear the word photo, it means light, and synthesis means putting together. So photosynthesis literally means putting together with light. What are we putting together? Well, the plant absorbs water through its roots, carbon dioxide through its leaves, and it's able to take these two things and put them together in a new way using light. Okay, so a really good definition of photosynthesis would be the process that a plant uses to make food from sunlight, water, and air. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and write down all of these words related to photosynthesis in your notes, and then you can move on to the next slide. So, what does that mean to make food for the plant? What is plant food? Well, plant food is actually called glucose. And glucose is a type of sugar used by plants as food. Now, we see this word sugar and we immediately think of like the table sugar that we all use, right? The thing that makes our drinks sweet, our food sweeter. You find it in almost everything. But that's not the sugar we're talking about. The sugar you're thinking of that you use every day is called fructose. Have you ever heard of high fructose corn syrup? That's fructose. But the sugar that plants make is called glucose, and it's a little different. It would not be delicious to you. Okay, so glucose is plant food. So instead of saying plant food from now on, we're going to say glucose. So go ahead and write that definition down and move on to the next slide. Now, in order for plants to make glucose, they've got to absorb the sun's energy. How do they do that? Well, they use these things called chloroplasts and chlorophyll. So chloroplasts are small organs in a leaf that contain chlorophyll, and then chlorophyll is a green substance in plants that allows them to collect the sun's energy. So if we have a leaf here, inside this leaf, we have all these microscopic chloroplasts, these organs, right? And inside of those organs, you see all these little green discs. Those are the chlorophyll. Okay, here's a real image. Here's a microscopic image of chloroplast and chlorophyll. You can see the shape that I'm outlining right here. That's the chloroplast, right? That's the organ. And inside that organ, what do you see? You see all these little green dots, and those are the chlorophyll. Okay, so plants use these chloroplasts that are full of chlorophyll to collect the sun's energy and make photosynthesis happen. So let's look at a diagram. Actually, before we do that, you should make sure that you copy down these words as well into your notes, these definitions. If you want to draw a picture, great. And then move on to the next slide. So let's put this all together now. What is the process of photosynthesis? Well, first of all, the first thing that's going to happen is the plant is going to draw up water and minerals from the ground through the roots, right? So all this water and these minerals go into the roots. They're going to move up the stem, right, up the xylem, into the leaves. Now, while that's happening, step two, at the same time, the leaves are taking in carbon dioxide from the air, right, and they're releasing oxygen. So as the water and minerals are moving through the roots and up the stem, the leaf is absorbing carbon dioxide, right? So now it's got all the ingredients. Now the sun is going to hit those leaves and photosynthesis is going to happen, right? That change is going to happen. So the sunlight gives the chloroplasts the energy to make the food and photosynthesis can happen. Now we can actually, and you should go ahead actually and draw this diagram in your notes. Okay, you don't have to write all these words, but you should put 1, 2, and 3 kind of in your own words. Show that water is going in, show that carbon dioxide is going in, show that oxygen is coming out. Okay, so draw that diagram before you move on to the next slide. And we can actually make a formula for photosynthesis. We can almost turn it into math, right? So this is the photosynthesis equation. Carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of light energy and chlorophyll. So you get carbon dioxide and you add water, and then light energy hits the chlorophyll, and what do you get? You end up with glucose, which is the plant food, and some oxygen's left over. And we'll look more at this photosynthesis equation in more detail later. Okay, so for now, make sure you write that equation down in your notes. Make sure you've got all the vocabulary in your notes, and then you can move on to the next step in the Google Classroom.